I gave him my heart. He gave me lies. I was just a simple girl. He was the prince of the school, handsome, rich, and dangerous. He smiled at me like I was special. I believed him. I helped him. I even took the fall for a crime he committed. Then he threw me away like trash. "You're just a pawn, Mia," he said with a cold smile. "Thanks for your help." Game over. I died that night. But death was only the beginning. When I opened my eyes, I was back. Not in heaven. Not in hell. Back in time. It was the first day of high school all over again. My heart raced. I remembered everything now, the lies, the pain, how I trusted the wrong people. But this time, I wouldn't be the quiet, naive girl everyone used. This time, I wouldn't fall for him. This time, I would make him fall and destroy him piece by piece. I changed my look. I changed my walk. I changed my rules. No more smiles for fake friends. No more sweet talks for lying boys. Everyone noticed. "Who's the new girl?" they whispered. But I wasn't new. I was the same Mia, just smarter, sharper, and colder. I stayed away from him, Ethan, the golden boy with the devil's smile. That confused him. He tried to charm me again. I just walked past like he didn't exist. He wasn't used to that. And the game had only just begun. Ethan tried everything. He sent me gifts. He waited for me after class. He smiled like he used to, but I didn't fall for it. I watched him struggle, just like I had before. Then I made my move. I befriended his biggest rival, Ryan, the boy Ethan hated most. Ryan was strong, quiet, and kind. He once helped me when I was crying in the library. This time, I would use the same game Ethan played on me, but smarter and deeper down. A part of me started to wonder, was Ryan just a piece too? Or was he something more? People started talking. "Mia is always with Ryan now. Didn't she used to like Ethan? Good. Let them talk." Ryan didn't say much, but he noticed everything. He watched Ethan with quiet eyes like he was studying his enemy. And Ethan? He was no longer calm. One day, he cornered me by my locker. "You're different," he said, looking into my eyes. "Why are you hanging out with Ryan?" I tilted my head and smiled, the same way he once smiled at me. "Why do you care?" His jaw clenched. "You're playing a dangerous game." I leaned closer. "Then you should know, I don't play games I can't win." And just like that, I walked away, leaving him standing there, stunned. What Ethan didn't know, I wasn't just trying to hurt his heart. I wanted to destroy his world. Ethan's family owned half the town. His father, Mr. Blackwood, was feared by everyone. But I knew a secret, one that could ruin them forever. Back in my last life, I overheard something I was never meant to hear. A deal. A lie. A crime. I had written it in my diary before I died. That diary was gone in the fire. Or so they thought. This time, I found it early, hidden in my old closet, covered in dust. I read the pages with shaking hands. Every word was there. The truth. The proof. With this, I could take down the Blackwoods. But there was one thing I didn't count on. Ryan was also looking into them. And he was getting close to the same secret. Was he trying to help me, or beat me to it? Ryan and I were in the school library one afternoon, surrounded by books and secrets. "You're hiding something," he said softly. I froze. He leaned in, his voice low. "You know something about Ethan's family. I can see it in your eyes." I didn't answer. I couldn't trust him. Not yet. He looked hurt just a little. "You don't have to be alone in this, Mia." That's when Ethan appeared behind the bookshelf. He had been watching us. His voice was sharp. "So this is what you've become? Teaming up with my enemies?" I stood up, calm and cold. "I'm not teaming up. I'm leading." And for the first time, Ethan looked afraid. The next morning, something unexpected happened. A black envelope sat on my desk when I walked into class. My name was written in gold. Inside it said, "You're invited. Midnight. Blackwood Mansion. Come alone." No name. No signature. But I already knew who sent it. Ethan, he wanted to talk. Or threaten. Or trap me. But I wasn't scared. I was ready. That night, I wore black and tucked the diary pages into my coat. I told no one, not even Ryan. Because this move was mine alone. The gates of the Blackwood mansion creaked open like something out of a horror movie. The air felt cold, even though it was summer. Ethan was waiting in the grand hall, standing under a chandelier that looked like frozen fire. "You came," he said. I stepped forward. Of course. I never missed the end of a game. He looked tired. Not like the golden boy I once knew. There were shadows under his eyes. A storm in his voice. "You have something that belongs to me," Ethan said. "You mean the truth?" I took the papers out and held them up. "Yeah, I do." He didn't move. Just stared at me like I'd become someone he didn't recognize. "You weren't supposed to remember," he whispered. "That fire was meant to erase everything." I froze. So he didn't know about the fire. He planned it? My hands shook, but I kept my face calm. "You tried to burn the truth. But you didn't know one thing." "What?" he asked. I stepped closer, eyes locked on his. "A queen always survives the flames." His face changed. Shock. Guilt. Maybe even regret. But before he could speak again, the lights went out. The darkness swallowed the room. I heard footsteps. Fast. Heavy. Not Ethan's. Then crash. A figure ran into me, knocked the papers from my hands. I fell to the floor as the sound of glass breaking echoed through the mansion. When the lights flickered back on, the papers were gone. So was the intruder. And Ethan was standing over me, furious. "You set me up." "No," I said, heart pounding. "Someone else is playing." For the first time. We weren't enemies. We were both pawns again, and someone had just made a secret move. I searched the room. The thief was fast, too fast for just anyone. Whoever it was knew exactly what they were looking for. Ethan paced, jaw clenched. It was an inside job. Someone close to me. But I wasn't looking at him. I was looking at the security camera in the corner. The red light was blinking. "Your cameras caught everything," I said. "Let's see who the real player is." We rushed to the security room. But someone had beaten us there. The screens were broken. Smashed. "They knew," Ethan whispered. "They knew exactly what to erase." Then a voice spoke from the shadows. "I didn't take your secrets, Mia. But I know who did." We spun around. A girl stepped forward. Long black hair. Ice blue eyes. A tiny scar under her left cheek. Sierra Blackwood. Ethan's cousin. And the only girl more dangerous than he was. Sierra smiled like a cat with a bloody mouse between its teeth. "I warned you, cousin," she said to Ethan. "You always play too rough. Now look, Mia's outsmarted you." She turned to me. "Bravo, by the way. You're more fun than I expected." "What do you want, Sierra?" I asked. "Oh, I don't want anything. Yet," she said, circling us. "But you're not the only one who came back different." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" She leaned in. "Let's just say you weren't the only one reborn." Then she walked away, heels echoing like gunshots down the hall. The next day at school, things got weirder. Someone left a black rose in my locker. No note. No name. Ryan found me in the hallway. "You didn't show up last night," he said quietly. I had things to handle. He stepped closer, concern in his eyes. "Be careful, Mia. There's more going on than you think. Ethan isn't your biggest enemy." I looked at him. "Do you know who took the papers?" He hesitated. Then he said, "No. But I know who can find out." And just like that, he took my hand and led me to the school basement where a girl with short pink hair and a laptop sat surrounded by screens. "This is Lexi. She's a hacker. She owes me a favor." Lexi looked up and grinned. "You're Mia? Oh girl, I've been dying to meet you." Lexi's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Someone masked the footage from the mansion. Pro-level stuff. Can you break it?" I asked. She smirked. "Please." "This is child's play." 10 minutes later, she froze. Found something. You're not gonna like it. She turned the screen toward us. It showed a figure in a hoodie stealing the papers. When the thief turned toward the camera, my heart stopped. It wasn't Sierra. It wasn't one of Ethan's men. It was my best friend from my past life, Lena. The one person I trusted before I died. The one who swore she loved me like a sister. She was supposed to be dead too. But now, she was back. And she had my secrets. Lena. Her name burned in my chest like fire. In my past life, she held my hand when I cried. She promised she'd never leave me. But now she was stealing from me, hiding in shadows, playing her own game. Ryan leaned over Lexi's screen, stunned. Are you sure that's her? Lexi zoomed in. The camera caught just enough of Lena's face. I nodded slowly. It's her, but something felt off. Lena had died in the fire that took me, at least. That's what I believed. How could she be alive? And working against me? And more importantly, why? Later that night, a message slipped under my dorm room door. It was written in Lena's handwriting. We were supposed to be sisters. You left me behind. Now it's my turn to lead the game. Let's see who wins this time. Now, my hands shook. Lena wasn't just back. She was declaring war. Lexi traced the IP address the message came from. It pinged off an old building downtown. Abandoned place. Used to be an art school. Ethan joined us in the basement lab, folding his arms. It's a trap. I know, I said, tying my hair back. But I'm going anyway. Ryan grabbed my arm. You don't have to do this alone. I looked at him, heart racing. Yes, I do. I slipped the diary pages into a secret pouch inside my jacket. Just in case Lena didn't already have everything. Just in case. She wasn't playing fair. The art school was quiet. Too quiet. Dust danced in the moonlight like faded memories. I stepped inside and heard music, soft, slow, and haunting. Then Lena appeared at the top of the stairs, dressed in all white. Like a ghost. Like a bride. Like a warning. She smiled. Hello, Mia. You look alive. I took a step forward. Why, Lena? Why are you doing this? She laughed, but it wasn't the sweet laugh I remembered. You were always the favorite. You had the heart. The love. The attention. Me, I was just background. Tears pricked my eyes. You were everything to me. Too late, she whispered. Now I'm everything you're not, strong, feared, in control. She raised her hand. And behind her, two masked people stepped out of the shadows. One of them was holding something I never expected to see again, my mother's necklace. The one that burned in the fire with me. The one that proved I'd been betrayed before I ever knew it. My mother's necklace. It swung in the masked girl's hand like a threat. I took a slow step forward, eyes locked on the shining stone in the center. That necklace, I whispered. It was lost in the fire. Lena tilted her head. Was it? She asked sweetly. Or was it taken? My heart pounded. You knew what was going to happen, I said. You knew about the fire. You left me there. Lena smiled, but there was pain in her eyes now too. I didn't start the fire, Mia. But I didn't stop it either. And that makes me smarter, doesn't it? No, I said, my voice cracking. It makes you like them. She flinched. But before she could speak again, the masked guy beside her pulled out a phone and pressed play. A video started. A recording. My voice. You can use me, Ethan. I'll take the blame. Just promise you won't let anyone get hurt. It was from before the betrayal. Before I knew the truth. Lena smirked. Found it in the old security files. Imagine what your new friends will think when they hear this. You were willing to be his pawn. I stared at her, frozen. This wasn't just revenge. It was character assassination. Suddenly, crash. The old windows shattered as someone leapt through them, sending glass flying everywhere. It was Ryan. Behind him came Lexi, holding a portable speaker in one hand and a stun device in the other. Sorry to ruin your creepy reunion, Ryan said, glaring at Lena. Lexi raised her speaker. Thought I'd bring some backup audio. Here's your real voice, Mia. She played a second clip, me crying, alone in the hospital bed after the betrayal. I believed in him. He lied to me. Used me. But I'm not going to let him win. Not this time. Lena's smile faltered. Ryan turned to me. You didn't have to do this alone. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Then I looked up at Lena, my voice steady. I was a pawn. But I'm not ashamed. Because now, I'm the one holding the board. Alarms started ringing in the distance. Lexi had triggered the emergency system to force the building to evacuate. Sirens. Flashing lights. Lena hissed. You haven't won, Mia. Not even close. No, I said, turning toward the exit. But I'm not the one running tonight. She didn't follow. She just stood there, holding the necklace, her face hidden behind her curtain of hair. As I walked away, I heard her voice, low and shaking. You took everything from me in the last life. In this one, I'll make you lose it all. Back at school, word spread fast. Ethan confronted me outside the science building. You didn't tell me about Lena, he said. You didn't tell me about Sierra, I shot back. He paused. She's not just after you, Mia. She's after the entire game. What do you mean? He looked around carefully, then leaned close. She's building something. A secret group. She calls them the Crownless. People who lost everything to the old rules. Lexi appeared behind him, holding her tablet. He's not lying. I found her network. And you're not going to like who's part of it. I took the tablet and stared at the screen. Lena. Sierra. The masked thief. And shocking me to my core, Ryan's older brother. The one who vanished after being expelled. Ryan stared at the screen. My brother? He whispered, eyes wide. That's not possible. Lexi tapped on the photo. It's him. No doubt. He's alive and he's not hiding anymore. The screen showed a blurry image. A tall guy in a black coat, face half hidden, but the eyes were the same as Ryan's, sharp, cold, unblinking. He's using a new name now, Lexi added. Goes by Rook. Like the chess piece. Ethan scoffed. Of course he does. They're all treating this like some kind of twisted game. I looked up, my voice low. It is a game. But this time, everyone wants the throne. The next morning, a new video spread across school like wildfire. It showed a dark room with a chessboard in the center. A hand placed a black rook on the board. Then a voice, deep and calm. This isn't just about revenge. This is about rebuilding. Breaking the liars. The users. The fake kings and queens. The pawns. And to do that, we're coming for all of you. At the end, the chessboard flipped. The white pieces fell. The black ones remained. Beneath it, the crownless have risen. My stomach turned. This wasn't just Lena and Sierra anymore. This was something bigger. And they were coming straight for us. We needed answers. Fast. Lexi found a hidden file inside the school archives, one that led us to an old, forgotten room under the auditorium. We pushed open the door. Dust and cobwebs everywhere. But inside was a giant wall covered in photos, maps, and strings of red thread. They've been planning this for years, Lexi whispered. Ryan walked to the center of the wall and touched a photo, one of him and his brother, back when they were kids. Smiling. That's before everything went bad, he said. Before the school turned against him. Before he disappeared. Ethan looked at a list pinned to the board. Names. Dozens of them. Some of these people are already working with the Crownless, he said. Some of them are still undecided. I stepped closer and saw my name. Mia, watch closely. Unpredictable. Underneath it, written in red ink, Queen or Pawn? We'll force her to choose. That night, I got a call. It was my little sister. Crying. Mia. Someone's following me. I think I'm being watched. My heart stopped. She had nothing to do with this. She didn't even know what was going on. I rushed to find her, but when I got to the park where she said she was, all I found was a small white box with a note. She's safe, for now. But queens have weaknesses too. Play carefully. Inside the box was her bracelet. The one I gave her on her birthday. They weren't just coming for me anymore. They were coming for everything I loved. I clutched the bracelet, my fingers trembling. My little sister was their message. A threat dressed as a warning. Ethan, Ryan, and Lexi caught up with me at the park. Ryan took one look at my face and stepped back. "They've crossed the line," I whispered. "This isn't a game anymore. This is war." Ethan nodded. "Then it's time we stop playing defense." Lexi opened her tablet. "I've been tracking their communications. They're moving again, planning something called the night move. No details. Just a date. 2 days from now." I stared at the bracelet, my voice low but sharp. "Then we have 2 days to flip the board." The next morning, a stranger appeared outside my classroom door. A girl with short braids, dark eyes, and a scar over her eyebrow. She walked straight up to me and dropped a folded paper on my desk. Then she leaned down and whispered, "I used to be crownless too." She left before I could speak. I opened the paper. It was a map, with a circle drawn around the school's old gym. Time: midnight tonight. I met with Ryan and Lexi behind the school later. "You think it's a trap?" Lexi asked. "Of course it's a trap," I said. "But sometimes, traps reveal the real players." Midnight came. The gym was cold and empty, the lights flickering like dying stars. We crept inside. Then, bang. The doors slammed shut behind us. From the shadows stepped Rook, Ryan's brother. He looked older now. Meaner. Eyes full of calm rage. "I wanted to see you for myself," he said to me. "The girl who broke Ethan. The one who tricked Lena. The piece that doesn't fit." I stepped forward. "Is this where you make your move?" He smiled slowly. "No. This is where I tell you the truth." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a file. Inside were documents. Old ones. And a photo. It was of me. And Ethan. Only, I was a baby. And Ethan wasn't a boy, he was a toddler. Standing beside my mother. My head spun. "What is this?" I asked. Rook's smile widened. "We weren't enemies at the beginning, Mia. We were family." Back at Lexi's lab, we scanned the documents. Birth certificates. A blurry adoption form. Hospital records. Ethan stared at the screen, pale and silent. "My mother. She was your aunt," I said, barely breathing. "She gave me up, and your family took me in for a while. But then she disappeared." "No one ever told me," Ethan whispered. "I didn't know you were her daughter." Rook had watched the crownless rise from the ashes of betrayal. But now the truth was burning hotter than revenge. "I'm not just the queen of this game," I whispered. "I'm the girl who was erased, and now remembered." 2 days later, just as Lexi predicted, the night move began. Sierra hacked the school's entire system. Power outages. Fire drills. Mass panic. Lena returned to the front of the school with a crowd of masked students behind her, all crownless. Rook stood on the roof, speaking through a megaphone. "This system failed us. These lies broke us. So now, we rebuild. Tonight, we take back everything." Ryan stood beside me, holding a small earpiece. "We have one shot," he said. "Shut down their network. Reveal their secrets. And end the chaos before it spreads." I looked up at the moonlit sky. "No," I said. "We don't end the chaos." He frowned. "Then what?" I turned to face the storm head-on. "We become the storm." The school was in chaos. Fire alarms rang through the halls, red lights flashing like warnings from another world. Students ran everywhere, some screaming, some laughing, most confused. And in the middle of it all stood me. No longer scared. No longer a pun. Lexi's voice buzzed in my ear. "They've hijacked the school's internal server. If we don't stop them in 10 minutes, the Crownless will broadcast every private file, grades, secrets, reports across every screen in the school." Ethan cursed under his breath. "They're trying to burn everything down again. Just like before." I turned to Ryan. "Are you ready?" He nodded, jaw set. "Always." Then we moved. Lexi stayed behind in the tech room, fingers flying across her keyboard. "I'm in their signal path," she said. "But someone's fighting me from the other end." "Someone good. Who is it?" I asked. A pause. "It's Lena." Of course it was. "She's locked me out of the firewall. She's going full blackout mode." "Then we don't play fair," I said. "Give me a backdoor." Lexi grinned. "Thought you'd never ask." I found her in the old music room. Lena sat at the piano, still in her white coat, her fingers dancing across the keys like it was just another school night. "You came," she said without turning around. "You gave me no choice." She played a sad tune, low and haunting. "I didn't want to hurt your sister," Lena said, "but I needed your attention." And it worked. My fists clenched. "What do you want from me, Lena? What is this all really about?" She finally turned, eyes full of fire and hurt. "I want to be remembered. I want the world to stop forgetting the broken ones." I stepped forward. "And burning everything down is how you do that?" She smiled bitterly. "You were reborn to rise. I was reborn to burn." Then she reached behind the piano and pressed a switch. The wall behind her slid open, revealing a countdown screen. "Broadcast initiating, 5 o'clock, 4:59, 4:58. Lexi's voice came through my earpiece again. "I found the override key. But you have to get it to the main server, top of the library tower. You have less than 5 minutes. I turned to go, but Lena grabbed my arm. "You do this, and you'll destroy the crownless. You'll crush the only people brave enough to stand up." "No," I said, pulling away. "I'll stop the people who hurt others to feel powerful." She let go and whispered, "Then let's see who wins, Queen." The stairs up to the library tower felt endless. My lungs burned. My legs ached. But I didn't stop. Because down below, chaos was rising. Because my sister was watching. Because the old Mia would have broken here. But the new Mia? She climbs. I reached the top. Plugged in Lexi's code. The screen flashed. Override accepted. Transmission terminated. Below, every screen in the school blinked off at once. The power returned. The red lights faded. The game had changed. But it wasn't over. I returned to the main courtyard where Ethan, Ryan, Lexi, and dozens of students stood, watching as the crownless slowly removed their masks. Sierra, Lena, Rook, each one defeated, but not destroyed. Lena stepped forward, looking straight at me. "You win this round," she said. "But games don't end with one checkmate." I stared her down. "Then bring the next board." The crowd watched in silence as Lena and the others vanished into the night. And for the first time in both my lives, they looked at me like I was more than a piece. They looked at me like I was the queen. The school was quiet again. No alarms. No hackers. No threats. But quiet didn't mean safe. I stood by the window of the library tower, watching the courtyard below. Students were returning to normal, pretending nothing had happened. Like it had all been a dream. But I knew better. Ryan walked up beside me, his shoulder brushing mine. "You stopped the broadcast. Saved the school." I nodded slowly. That wasn't a win. It was a warning. From Lena? From all of them. Because even now, I could feel it. This was just one battle in a war of many. Lexi handed me a flash drive the next day. "Encrypted copies of everything we found in the crownless files," she said. "Names. Secrets. Plans." I glanced at it. "This could ruin people." Lexi shrugged. "So could they." Ethan stood nearby, staring at the chessboard in the school strategy club room. He moved the black queen across the board. "She's regrouping," he said. "Lena. Sierra. Rook. They're not done." "No," I said. "They've just moved to another level." Lexi added, "And we might not be the only ones they're playing against anymore." I turned sharply. "What do you mean?" Lexi pulled up a new image on her tablet. A surveillance photo. A girl. New uniform. New face. Watching me from the edge of the crowd during the night move chaos. "I scanned her ID," Lexi said. "She's not in any school records. She's not in any records." My blood ran cold. A new piece had entered the game, one none of us placed on the board. That night, a letter slid under my door. No envelope. No name. Just a card, black on the outside, white inside. A single sentence written in elegant handwriting. Every queen has a shadow. But which one of us is real? No signature. Just a symbol, the White Queen. The next morning, a scandal rocked the school. One of the most powerful teachers, Mr. Hellbridge, Ethan's mentor, was caught. Secret files. Bribes. Hidden deals with powerful families. He was suspended. Then arrested. Lexi smirked. Guess someone's pulling strings behind the curtain. Ryan frowned. Not us. Not the crownless. Someone new. And then we all realized it at the same time. Someone was hunting the kings. One by one. And replacing them with queens. That evening, I sat alone in the strategy club. I studied the board. The pieces. The patterns. There was a knock at the door. A girl stepped inside, tall, elegant, with snow-white hair and unreadable eyes. She smiled softly. "Hello, Mia. Who are you?" I asked. She walked to the board and placed a white queen beside my black one. I'm the one who doesn't need a second life to win. My breath caught. The White Queen was real. And she was standing right in front of me. She didn't flinch. Didn't blink. Didn't act like a girl meeting her rival. The White Queen simply smiled at me like she already knew how the story would end. "You've been playing so hard, Mia," she said, brushing a speck of dust off a chess piece. "But while you were focused on the board, I was building a new one." I narrowed my eyes. "What do you want?" She met my gaze calm as ice. "Not what you think. I don't want revenge. I want order. No more kings. No more chaos. Just control." "Control over what?" She turned and walked slowly around the room. "Over the stories we live. The lies we're fed. The games we're forced into." She looked back at me. "You burned the game down once. I'm here to rebuild it, without the mess of emotions holding you back." After she left, I found an envelope tucked beneath the Black Queen piece on the board. Inside were photos. Old ones. From my childhood. Me. My mother. A blurred man in the background, his face hidden by shadow. On the back of the final photo, something was scrawled in dark red ink. "You were never meant to survive the fire." My hands shook. These weren't just pictures. They were a message. Someone from my first life, someone behind the fire, was still out there. And maybe had always been watching. Later that night, Ryan knocked on my door, pale and quiet. "They took him," he said. "Took who?" He swallowed. "My brother. Rook. He's gone. Disappeared from crownless hideouts. No trace." Lexi pulled up the last ping from his device. It vanished right outside the old train station, abandoned for years. "Why would he go there?" Ethan asked. Lexi looked up. "Because that's where everything started." We made our way to the train station just after midnight. The air was thick with dust and silence. Inside, the walls were covered in strange symbols, coded maps, red chalk circles, and pinned notes. We found Rook's phone, cracked and cold, lying beside a rusted chess piece, another White Queen. And a note beneath it. "Only one queen can rule. And the game isn't yours anymore." Back at the school, the ground shifted again. A student, once loyal to the crownless, was found unconscious in the courtyard. A black pawn was taped to his hand. Lexi reviewed security footage. A figure in white had delivered the warning. "It's her," she said. "The White Queen. She's turning the crownless against each other. She's taking everything." Ryan clenched his fists. "She's not just playing her own game. She's breaking ours." I stood still. Because deep down, I knew what she was doing. She wasn't chasing power. She was chasing me. The next morning, I found something waiting in my locker. Not a note. Not a photo. A mirror. Small, circular, old. Its surface was cracked down the center. Taped to the back was a card with just one line. "Look closely. You'll see the truth hidden in yourself." It was her, the White Queen. But what did she mean? That I'd been blind to something? That the real enemy wasn't just her? Later in the strategy room, I stared into that cracked mirror. My reflection split into two pieces. One half, strong, angry, fearless. The other, scared, still healing, still remembering. Then I realized this wasn't just a threat. It was a warning. She knows something about me that I don't. Lexi stormed into the room minutes later. "You need to see this," she said, her voice shaking. She dropped a file on the table, yellowed paper, old school records, sealed documents from over a decade ago. These files were hidden in a part of the school system I've never seen before, protected by deep encryption. I opened the folder. Inside were psychological reports. Not just about students. About me. But the name at the top wasn't mine. It read, Mira Ainsworth. I blinked. This isn't my name. Lexi looked at me. It was. Once I was adopted, I whispered, piecing it together. That I knew. But someone changed your identity, Lexi said. Your file was wiped clean the same year the fire happened. The year your mother disappeared. Ryan stepped closer. Who would do that? And why? Ethan answered before I could. Because Mia wasn't just a pawn in a school game. She was a piece stolen from an even bigger board. And for the first time, I realized this wasn't just about betrayal. It wasn't just about revenge. It was about a buried legacy. A bloodline someone tried to erase. And the White Queen might be the only one left who knew why. That night, I received a white envelope under my door. Inside was a chess piece. The Queen. But this one was different, glass, not plastic. Fragile, clear, and cold. Along with it came a note. The final table is being set. Come alone. No more lies between queens. A time. A place. Midnight. The abandoned observatory on the edge of town. I stared at the Queen in my hand and whispered to myself, this is it. The beginning of her end. Or maybe mine. The observatory sat on top of a hill, abandoned and forgotten, its giant dome cracked open like a broken crown. Midnight fog curled around the path like it was alive. Silent. Watching. I walked alone, just like she asked. No Lexi. No Ryan. No Ethan, only me, and the glass queen in my pocket. Inside, the air smelled of rust and time. Moonlight spilled through the broken ceiling, painting everything silver. She stood waiting in the center. The White Queen. Her white coat fluttered as she turned to face me, like a curtain revealing the truth. You came, she said. I'm done hiding, I replied. She smiled. Good. Then let's begin. She waved her hand and suddenly a projector behind her lit up. Images. Names. Documents. All tied to me. But also tied to something bigger. You weren't just adopted, she said. You were rescued. Hidden away because your mother, Evelyn Ainsworth, was a whistleblower. I froze. She was going to expose the board of trustees, the school, the Blackwoods. All of them. And she paid the price. The screen changed. It showed a photo of my mother. Then another one, standing beside someone unexpected. Sierra's father. They were allies once, she continued. Until he betrayed her. Burned her truth. Tried to burn her daughter with it. Tried to burn me. My fists trembled. Why are you showing me this? Because you're stronger than they want you to be, she said. And I don't want to destroy you, Mia. I want you to join me. My breath caught. What? She walked closer, pressing the glass queen into my hand. You and I were made to rule. Not fight scraps in someone else's game. We can finish what your mother started. Together. I looked down at the chess piece in my palm. The moonlight made it glow like ice. Everything I wanted, revenge, power, the truth, was now within reach. But there was one thing she didn't understand. I don't want a throne built on silence, I said softly. I want one built on truth. Her eyes darkened. Then choose, Mia. The room went quiet. Then, footsteps echoed. Ryan stepped into the observatory, followed by Lexi and Ethan. I turned in shock. I told you not to come. Ryan stepped beside me. You shouldn't have to face this alone. Lexi held up a drive. We decrypted the rest of your mother's files. The real truth. All of it. We're broadcasting it tonight. The White Queen's smile faded. You destroy everything. For justice? I raised my chin. No. I'll rebuild everything with truth as the foundation. Her hand twitched at her side, and for a second, I saw it. Fear. Not of losing the game, but of losing me. Lexi inserted the drive into a small satellite transmitter from her backpack. The files began uploading in real time. Every truth Evelyn Ainsworth tried to protect. Every lie buried by the board. Every betrayal behind the crownless. The White Queen's breath caught. This will ruin everything. No, I said, stepping forward. It will set everything free. Ethan stood behind me now, quiet but firm. They'll come after you, the White Queen warned. The board. The families. The ghosts of this place. Let them come, I said. I've already walked through fire. They'll have to do better than that. The screen blinked. Upload complete. The truth was out. The game had changed. And for once, I was writing the rules. The next morning, the school buzzed with chaos, but not the usual kind. Screens lit up with reports. Teachers were being suspended. The Board of Trustees was under investigation. The Blackwood name was being questioned everywhere. And for the first time in years, people were listening. Ryan found me by the rooftop garden. You did it. I shook my head. We did. Lexi appeared behind him, holding her tablet. We've got a new problem, though. The White Queen vanished. No trace. No cameras. She always planned to disappear, I said. She knew this wasn't her end. Ethan approached quietly, his voice careful. So what now? You've won. I looked out at the rising sun, heart pounding. This wasn't a win. This was the clearing of the board. The real game starts now. That night, alone in my dorm room, I found one last message slipped under my door. It was folded paper. Elegant. Sharp. Inside, a photo of my mother standing next to someone with their face blacked out. Written beneath in red ink, you exposed the pawns. But the king is still alive. There was no signature. Just a single symbol drawn at the bottom. I met with Lexi in the basement lab. I don't recognize the signature, I said, sliding her the photo. Lexi's face went pale. I do, she typed quickly, then showed me a hidden archive. A man. Powerful. Rich. Silent. Someone who never appeared in any of the previous games, but pulled strings from deep within the system. Lexi whispered his name. V. Mercer. Head of the board. The man behind the man. Ethan leaned over the screen. He's the one who erased you. Ryan said nothing, but I could see the storm in his eyes. So I stood. Calm. Strong. And whispered. Then it's time to take the king off the board. V. Mercer. A name I'd never heard before, and yet, everything pointed to him. Lexi uncovered sealed court records, encrypted bank transfers, and redacted documents. He wasn't just part of the board, he owned it. And not just the school. The media. The system. The story itself. He was the one who silenced your mother, Lexi said. And he's been watching you ever since. Ryan leaned forward, fists clenched. Why not finish the job? Why let Mia live? Ethan's eyes narrowed. Because he didn't think she'd ever rise. I stared at the screen, watching the face of a man too powerful to be touched. Yet, he made one mistake, I said. He forgot I'm not the girl I used to be. We started building our counterattack. Lexi coded a backdoor into Mercer's communications network. Ryan made contact with underground sources, former crownless who wanted justice, not chaos. Ethan used his family name to gather intel from inside the board. We were preparing for something bigger than a school scandal now. We were preparing to pull a king out of the shadows. But Mercer was already making moves. That night, Lexi's lab was broken into. Her drives were destroyed. Our files wiped clean. All except one thing left behind. A single card on her desk. Know your place. We relocated fast. but the damage was done. Lexi sat in the corner of the old theater room, hugging her knees. He's 10 steps ahead. No, I said gently, kneeling beside her. He's just used to playing with scared pieces. That's not us anymore. But later that night, something worse happened. Ryan didn't show up to our next meeting. When we found his phone on the steps of the old library, my heart dropped. A voice message played automatically as we picked it up. Mercer's voice. Come, I see. You wanted a war, Miss Ainsworth. But war demands sacrifice. The boy was simply first. The days after Ryan's disappearance were heavy. I walked the halls of the school like a ghost. So did Ethan. Lexi barely spoke. But deep inside me, something shifted. Not fear. Not sadness. Resolve. I stood in the very place where Ethan once told me I was a pawn. Only now, he stood beside me, quiet, waiting for my next move. I turned to him and said the words I never thought I'd say. Bring me to the Blackwood estate. His eyes widened. Why? Because if I'm going to find Mercer, I said, I need to walk into the world he built. The Blackwood mansion towered like a monument to old money and darker secrets. Guards eyed me as I stepped through the gates, Ethan by my side. Inside, the halls were colder than I remembered. And quieter. Ethan led me to a locked door hidden behind the library's shelves. He handed me a key. This was my father's study. No one goes in. Not even me. I opened it. The air smelled like dust, ink, and secrets. And on the desk, a sealed file labeled, Mira Ainsworth, transfer order, confidential, V. Mercer. Beneath it was a note scrawled in messy ink. The next move is yours. Don't miss it. The file in my hands felt heavier than any weapon. Inside, forged transfer papers, court manipulation logs, surveillance on my mother, and a secret report dated just 1 week before the fire. Subject, Mira Ainsworth. Objective, silence. V. Mercer hadn't just erased my past. He tried to erase me. But he failed. Lexi cracked the code hidden in the documents, a digital key that unlocked Mercer's private server. Inside, every secret he ever tried to hide. We didn't leak it. We delivered it straight to the federal authorities, to every board overseeing the school system, to every journalist still brave enough to tell the truth. The tower Mercer built didn't fall quietly. It exploded. Mercer was arrested. His empire crumbled. The school board was dismantled. The Blackwood name was stripped of its power. And Ryan, we found him. Locked in one of Mercer's safe houses. Alive, but changed. We brought him home. But the girl who first walked these halls, quiet, sweet, scared, was gone forever. I stood at graduation, staring out at the school that tried to bury me. And I smiled. Because it didn't know. I was a seed. Months later, a single envelope arrived at my new apartment. Inside was a chess piece. A king, shattered in half. And a note. Well played. The White Queen. I didn't smile. I didn't flinch. I placed the broken king beside the Black Queen on my desk. And whispered, checkmate.